This changes everything. Vanessa just walked straight into the most dangerous alliance in the game, and I don't think anyone is ready for what comes next. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being dramatic for the sake of it. No, what I just witnessed, it feels like the calm before a storm that is about to RIP everything apart. Because Vanessa, getting close to Leslie, that is not normal. That is not random. That is a move. A calculated, risky, potentially catastrophic move. And I need to talk about it. Because nothing about this situation makes sense on the surface. And yet, the deeper I go, the more terrifying it becomes. So here's the situation. Vanessa, who just went through emotional war with Nicole, suddenly turns around and starts getting close to Leslie. Yes, that Leslie. The same Leslie who has been circling chaos like a storm cloud. The same Leslie whose relationship with Marcel has been questioned, judged, whispered about from every corner. And I'm sitting here like, wait, what? Why would Vanessa of all people go there? Is this redemption, strategy, betrayal, or something much darker? Because let's be real, you don't just accidentally befriend someone like Leslie. This is not friendship. This is positioning. This is chess. And someone is about to get checkmated. Vanessa versus Nicole, the aftershock. Let's start here, because everything traces back to this emotional explosion. Vanessa and Nicole didn't just argue. No, that wasn't a disagreement. That was a breakdown, a fracture, a relationship pushed to the edge of collapse. And when something like that happens, it changes you. It forces you to reflect, to question everything. And I really think that's exactly what happened to Vanessa. Because after that fallout, something clicked. She looked at her own relationship with Joey and she saw it. The pattern, the pain, the lack of recognition, the lack of validation, the feeling of being hidden. And suddenly, Leslie didn't look like the enemy anymore. Leslie looked like a mirror. And that is where things start getting dangerous. Because when you see yourself in someone you once judged, walls come down, and that's exactly what happened. Vanessa versus Leslie alliance or ambush. Now this is where it gets intense. Because their conversation, it was polite on the surface, calm, measured. But underneath, pure tension, pure suspicion, pure psychological warfare. Leslie wasn't fooled, not for a second. She asked the question that cut straight through everything. Why do you even want to talk to me? Boom. That's not curiosity. That's defense. That's someone who knows they might be walking into a trap. And honestly, I felt that too. Because Vanessa's approach, it was too smooth, too convenient, too perfectly timed. She talks about coincidence. She expresses curiosity. She wants to understand why Leslie chose Marcel despite all the judgment. And I'm sitting here like, no. That's not just curiosity. That's probing. That's digging. That's someone looking for cracks. And then comes the moment that made me pause. Leslie asks if she's being recorded. Recorded? Think about that. Why would that even cross her mind? Unless she believes Vanessa's capable of it. And suddenly, I remember that phone sitting right there on the table. Silent, present, watching. And now I'm questioning everything. Was Vanessa trying to trap her? Was this a setup? Was she fishing for a confession? Because the way she kept asking Leslie about her intentions with Marcel, it wasn't casual. It was targeted, strategic, dangerous. Leslie versus Vanessa, the defense holds. But here's the twist. Leslie didn't break. She didn't panic. She didn't overshare. She dodged. She deflected. She played the game. And that tells me something very important. Leslie is not naive. She knows exactly what kind of battlefield she's standing on. Every answer she gave, vague, controlled, safe. Even when Vanessa tried to push deeper to get something real, something usable, Leslie shut it down, clean. And in that moment, I realized if Vanessa was trying to trap her, she failed. And failure in a game like this, that has consequences. A quick pause, but not really. Okay, I have to say this. Vanessa's presence in that scene, absolutely commanding. Her style, her confidence, her aura, she stood out completely. even next to someone like Leslie, who knows how to command attention. And that contrast, it made everything feel even more intense. Because this wasn't just a conversation. This was a face-off, a silent duel, and both of them knew it. Leslie and Marcel, celebration or warning sign? Now let's shift for a second. Because while all of this is happening, Leslie walks away. She goes straight to Marcel. And what is he doing? Winning. Winning big. Fresh off a divorce. Free. Celebrating. And where do they go? Joey's casino. Of course they do. Because why not add more chaos to an already explosive situation? And I'm watching this unfold like this is not a coincidence. This is convergence. All the key players slowly circling each other. Vanessa, Leslie, Marcel, Joey, Nicole. Everyone is connected and no one is safe. Vanessa's true mission. What is she really doing? Now we get to the core question, the one that's been haunting me this entire time. Why is Vanessa doing this? Because let's be honest, there's no personal feud between her and Leslie. No direct conflict. No obvious reason to get involved. So why step into this mess? Here's my theory, and it changes everything. Theory 1, Vanessa is working with Nicole. Yes, I said it. I think Vanessa might be trying to help Nicole behind the scenes, quietly, strategically, because let's not forget, their history is deep. We've seen it. That flashback, that moment where their friendship began, that wasn't surface level. That was raw, honest, real. They shared secrets. They showed each other their true selves. They built something that goes beyond simple friendship. So even after conflict, that bond doesn't just disappear. It lingers, it pulls, it influences decisions. And if Nicole is trying to understand Leslie's motives, if she suspects something, then Vanessa stepping in makes sense. She becomes the bridge, the spy, the risk taker. Theory 2, this is about something much darker. But wait, what if it's not just about relationships? What if this goes deeper? Because there's still that shadow hanging over everything. The incident with Laura, the potassium injection, the unanswered questions, the suspicion. What if Vanessa is looking for answers? What if she believes Leslie knows something? And this whole friendship is just a way in? Because if that's true, then this isn't just drama. This is a ticking time bomb. But here's the problem. Even if Vanessa started with a plan, even if this was strategic, something is changing, and I don't like it. Because during that conversation, there was a moment, a subtle shift, where Vanessa didn't just see Leslie as a target, she saw her as a person, and that is how you lose control. The real danger, emotional collision, because now we're entering the most dangerous territory of all. Blurred intentions, mixed emotions, unclear loyalty. Vanessa might have approached Leslie with suspicion, but what if she starts understanding her? What if she starts relating to her? What if that connection becomes real? Because if that happens, everything falls apart. Vanessa versus herself, the internal war. This is no longer just Vanessa versus Leslie, or Vanessa versus Nicole. This is Vanessa versus herself, her loyalty, her judgment, her emotions, her past, her instincts. And I don't know which side is going to win. Because if she gets pulled into Leslie and Joey's world, if she starts seeing them differently, if she starts justifying their actions, then we are heading straight into chaos, and I'm not ready for that. I'm not. Because I've seen where this road leads. Joey doesn't play clean. Leslie doesn't reveal everything. Marcel is unpredictable. And anyone who gets too close, they get burned. So watching Vanessa step into this, watching her get closer, it feels like watching someone walk into a fire thinking they won't get hurt. What happens next? This is where everything becomes unstable. Because now we have multiple paths. Vanessa exposes Leslie and everything explodes. Vanessa fails and becomes a target. Vanessa switches sides and betrays Nicole. Or, worst of all, Vanessa gets trapped emotionally, strategically, completely. And if that happens, there's no coming back. Final thoughts. This is war. Let me be clear. This is not just drama anymore. This is not just relationships. This is a battlefield. Vanessa versus Leslie. Vanessa versus Nicole. Truth versus deception. Loyalty versus survival. And every move from here on out matters, because one wrong step and everything collapses. So now I'm asking you, what do you think Vanessa's really doing? Is this a plan, or is she losing control? Because I have a feeling we are only at the beginning, and the next move is going to change everything. Don't look away. Don't blink, because what's coming next is going to be absolute chaos.